Hi everyone, my name is Ryan. Welcome to Math with RG. All right, in today's video, we're working on equations of linear functions for Algebra 1. First topic is graphing equations in slope-intercept form. Okay, so let's first talk about slope-intercept form. What does that actually mean? Well, what's cool about this name is that slope-intercept form literally tells you the two things that you need in the format, and that is the slope and the y-intercept. So let's take a look at the format. It is written down right here at the top left. Y equals mx plus b. Now, let's talk about what each letter means. The m is for the slope. So we write slope, and then we can put the formula. Now, the formula to find the slope looks like this. The second y minus the first y divided by the second x minus the first x. Now, I could have written it as the first y minus the second y, and then of course I would need to switch the bottom, so the first x minus the second x. So it's the difference in y divided by the difference in x. Now a line has to have 2 points in order for it to be a line, at least 2 points. So you can take any 2 points on a line, plug it into this formula, and you will find out the slope. Now you'll encounter problems where they just give you 2 points, they just write them down and you plug them in. Or you might have a visual problem, right, where they give you an actual picture of the graph and then you can figure out the slope by counting, right? So counting the vertical part and then counting the horizontal part. Okay, now the b in the formula is the y-intercept. Now the y-intercept will always look like this. What it means is, where is the line, right, crossing the y-axis? So if it's crossing the y-axis at a certain place, then that means that it's not moving left or right. So the point for the b will always be 0, comma, and then whatever the y point is. Okay, now before we get into some examples, I want to point your attention over to this question right here. How many types of slopes are there? So I'm going to give you a moment to think about that. Okay, so now we're going to actually scroll down and we're going to talk about it real quick. So how many types of slopes are there? There are 4 types of slopes. So let's talk about the first. The first one is positive. Okay, so it'll look like this. When I'm looking at my graph, and this is really important, when you're looking at a graph for lines, you want to look left to right, okay? And if you're going up a hill, then that means it's positive. And in fact, any graph that you ever look at, you should always look at left to right. So if I'm looking at this left to right, and I'm going up a hill, right, or up a mountain, that means positive. Now, it doesn't matter. It could be here, it could be here, it could be here, it doesn't matter. Those are all positive slopes, right? So if I just connect this up, then there it is, right? So that's an example. You have to have the arrows on both ends, right? Because the line goes forever. All right, so that's a positive slope. Now, let's look at the very next one. The next one we would call a negative slope. So again, I'm looking left to right, but this time I'm going down a hill or down a mountain. Okay? So there's a negative slope. All right, now the very next one. This is called zero slope. Okay? So zero slope means that it is completely horizontal. Now again, it could be here, Could be here, doesn't matter. As long as it's completely horizontal. So it looks like that. And the last one is undefined. Undefined slope. What does that mean? Well, it is vertical. So it could be here, doesn't matter. So this is a vertical slope. Now, why is it undefined? Well, if you're doing the slope formula, you would end up with a fraction where you're dividing by 0. And you can't divide by 0, so that's why it's undefined. Okay, so again, this is vertical, and this one is horizontal. Okay, so those are the 4 types of slopes. Now it's important to note that for the horizontal slope, it would always be a y equals and then just a number, right? So for example, in this one, let's say that is 2. So y equals 2. So wherever I go, right, if I move left or right, doesn't matter, I'm going to go up to the 2 part for the y. If I go over here, then it's 2. If I go over here, then it's 2. Now, for the undefined slope, it's important to note that it's always going to look like this. X equals just a number. So in this case, I have the -2, right? So if I move to the -2, and then if I go up or down, it doesn't matter. I'm still at -2 for the x. So again, really important to note, for 0 slope, it's y equals just a number. For undefined slope, it's x equals just a number. Okay, so let's dive into some of the examples now. So right here, it says we have write an equation and then graph it. So we have the slope equals 4, and we have the y-intercept equals 2. So all I have to do here is write it in the y equals mx plus b format, okay? So the m, right, the slope is 4, so I would write y equals, and then instead of writing the m, I just replace it with 4, because they told me the slope was 4. Then I write the x, and then plus, and then the y-intercept is the b, and then in this case, it's 2. So I replace it with the 2. Okay, so now I'm going to graph this. Okay, so very important to note that if it's a slope of a whole number, it's really over 1. So when I do slope, I have to focus on the fraction part. But this is how you graph. The very first thing you do is you plot the y-intercept. So in this case, the y-intercept is 2, so I put a point right there at 0, 2, right? So I went 0, I didn't move to the left or right, then I went up 2. Okay, now from the y-intercept, I use my slope. So the slope is 4 over 1. The number on top is the vertical movement, the number on the bottom is the horizontal movement. Because both numbers are positive, then that means for the vertical movement, I'm going to move up 4 places. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then for the horizontal movement, I'm going to move to the right 1 place. So it's going to be here. So 6 and the 1, right? So I started at 2, I moved up 4 places, and then I moved to the right 1 place. Now, because I have 2 points, technically I could connect my line, but what I like to do is I like to get another point so that I'm crossing the y-axis and the x-axis. So all I'm going to do is do the slope backwards now. So I'm going to go back to the y-intercept at 0, 2, and I'm just going to go backwards. Instead of going up 4, I'm going to go down 4. So if I'm at positive 2, then I will end up at negative 2, and then to the left 1. So I will end up right here. Now, all I have to do is connect this, and we are good to go. Always have to put my arrows on both sides, box up my answer, so I have my graph and my equation, and now we're ready for the next example. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to let you guys do this one on your own. So remember, notice you have a negative slope. You also have a negative y-intercept. You have to write your equation, right? And then focus from there. You start at the y-intercept, plot that, and then you use the slope. And remember, because it's negative, you got to look left to right on the graph and then ask yourself, am I going down a hill? If you're not going down a hill, then you made a mistake. Okay, so now we are going to graph these two things. We have y equals 3, so let's start there. So this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. We have 1, 2, 3. And they said y equals 3. So remember what I said before with the different types of slopes. If it says y equals 3, that literally means that every place that you go on this graph, y must equal 3. If it doesn't equal 3 in some place, then you made a mistake. So I can put my first point right there, and then all I have to do is just go over a few points, doesn't really matter, and then go up to 3 again. So do you see how both of those places y is equal to 3? So I am following exactly what they asked. Now I connect it and I get this. Okay, now in this last one, right, well the one we just did, that's a horizontal line, so it's a 0 slope, right? And there's a reason why it's called 0 slope as well when you look at it visually. When it says y equals 3, well, what are we missing? The mx. Well, if the m is 0, it would be 0 times x, so wipes it out. Okay, so now we have x equals -1. So we go to the -1, we plot our point, and then we can just go up a few. And again, for the x, you have to stay at -1. So now both of those x points are on -1, but the y points are different, and so that creates a vertical line. So now I've created my vertical line with an undefined slope. So there we go. Okay. Thank you all so much for watching this today. We're all done for today. Take care. Great job on finishing today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, tell your friends and family. And if you want to dive deeper into chapter test work, you can check out my school platform, skool.com. The link will be in the bio below. And if you want more information on one-on-one tutoring, you can check out my website, rgtutors.com. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye for now.